All right. So, welcome to another episode of my Leveraging Your Voice podcast. And today we have another wonderful special guest. All right. Why don't you introduce yourself and just let us know who you are?
Okay. I'm Dr. Jeda Boughton, and I'm from Vancouver, Canada.
Awesome.
I have a clinic here, or I work in a clinic here. I used to own it, and now I'm working in it. I do acupuncture and Chinese medicine and a few other little tools that I use and modalities for treating people. I do a lot of fertility treatment in my clinic. I do some sports medicine and some other things, hormone balancing, thyroid work, but a big chunk of my practice is working with fertility patients.
Awesome. Jetta, that's a name. Is that short for anything or is it just Jetta?
Well, some of my friends call me Jadisha, but I'm just kidding. I do have a friend that calls me that, but actually what happened was my dad wanted my brother and I to have unique names, and so what he did was he took the first two letters of my mom's name, the first two letters of his name, and put them together.
And that's
Can
how
you
you
guess
got
what my
Jetta.
parents do you know what my parents' names are?
I don't.
Jean and David. So it's the J-E from the Jean and the D-A from the
How
David.
about that? Now, I
Yeah.
have to say, I've never heard that story from anyone else before.
Really?
Never.
Yeah.
So, wow. All right, Jetta, Jeda comes from your
Yeah.
mom and dad's name. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. All right.
hmm
Well, what is your background, schooling background that got you into this work at the clinic?
I originally actually did a bachelor in sociology and anthropology, and then I went criminology, and I went in from there into straight into Chinese medicine.
Mm,
And that's a 5-year program. So you do the first 3 years is mostly foundations and acupuncture and herbal medicine. And then the fifth year is more the part that gives you the doctorate. So they really integrate a lot of Western medicine into that.
mm. What school
And
did you go to for that?
it's a school called the International College of Traditional Chinese Medicine of Vancouver. It's actually changed its name to 𝐶 College recently, but it's in Vancouver. And then I actually went to China. I spent 3 months working in a hospital in China for part of my practicum. So
That's
that was an
cool.
adventure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was in China in my college days for a long trip, uh,
hmm
but not for work like you were.
But it's a pretty int what years were you there?
Boy, that was some time ago. Say that was in the 80s.
Oh, wow. So that would have been amazing to be there then. I was there in 2004.
Mhm.
And I haven't been since, but apparently things have changed so much.
Mm.
Yeah.
For the better or for the worse?
And I think probably a little bit of both.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting in Chinese medicine. When people come in, are they looking for that? Is that why they're coming there? Or are they coming in thinking it's a regular clinic and they are surprised by what you do?
I, oh no, most of the time people will find me either by referral or they'll find me on Dr. Google. Some people are they're specifically looking for things like acupuncture and Chinese medicine or Chinese herbal medicine. Some people are specifically looking for someone that helps with fertility or with thyroid health or with back pain.
Okay.
So, people come from different avenues. A lot of
Yeah.
referral. Yeah.
Now, speaking of fertility, one of the things that I wanted to talk with you about today is your expansion of your work with fertility
hmm
cases.
Yeah.
And why don't you just start us off a little bit and tell us what this vision is that you have for where you want to go with this kind of work?
Okay. So what happened was or what happens in my clinic is I have a special uh kind of credential in fertility work from a Chinese medicine point of view and then partially a Western kind of medicine point of view. And I've been working with closely with the reproductive endocrinologists in Vancouver for a long time, the ones that work in the Western fertility clinics. And I get a lot of people that approach me that don't live in Vancouver that are looking for help or they're looking for me to help them find someone that where they are that can help them, and it's not always possible. So sometimes I'll work with people virtually online to try to either help them navigate finding somebody that can do acupuncture or a naturopath or someone that could help them with supplements or herbs, or even just helping them navigate the Western system, because a lot of times people will go in to see their doctors or their specialists and they don't really understand what's happening. And so I help people with that. Obviously, I can't give them acupuncture virtually, and I sometimes I'll even mail herbs to them or make suggestions about, lifestyle and diet and supplements and things like that. But I didn't really have like a full structure for working with people that aren't in Vancouver. And sometimes people will even travel. Like I have someone in California that will travel periodically to come get treatment, and some people from like Saskatchewan and Alberta, they'll travel here to get treatment. But in between those treatments, it's nice to have some kind of structure where I'm working with them, so that and I thought, you know what, I should start doing some online fertility coaching. So what I did last year was I just started implementing an actual structure to that and working with people online that way. Even though I was working with some people online that found me through the clinic. Now I'm expanding that into online, getting out there and saying, hey, this is actually an option for people, especially people that don't have other options close to them.
It's awesome. The kind of work
Mhm.
that you do, people can go to different places for this kind of help. So they can go to the hospital or a regular medical doctor. What's
Mhm.
different about them coming to you? Will they get the same services as they might get from a regular medical doctor, or what might they get differently when working with you?
Most regular medical doctors don't study fertility, so they don't know all the little nuances that what is important for to help with. I mostly work with women. I do obviously work with couples, but often, I'd say the majority of my patients are the females. Usually, when I'm working with them, then sometimes we're making lifestyle changes that just trickle over into the rest of the family, obviously, and to the spouses. But there's a lot of things that aren't understood in from most medical doctors if unless they've studied it. And even some OBGYNs are not doing a lot of extra fertility education. So when people are working with me, then I'm coming from a place where I'm understanding things from a Western perspective and an Eastern perspective. And often, even if people are going to a Western fertility clinic, then I still work with those people. And sometimes they don't always understand the nuances of what, protocols are being used or why they're doing this or that or what could be a potential protocol for them. And so we usually talk through those kinds of things. And I have access to um, uh, communication lines with doctors who are fertility specialists. They're called reproductive endocrinologists, and so if I don't know something, then I have access to be able to find out.
Yeah, well, that's a
Yeah,
good thing to have. So
yeah,
this kind of work, it seems to me really emotional because if somebody's unable to have a baby and they want a baby, that seems like a really emotional time in their
mhm,
life.
yeah,
And does that come through when people come to show up and say, "Hey, I need help," or does that show itself throughout the whole process because you can't guarantee anything, and so they're working through this, not knowing what the outcome might be. So,
yeah.
how's that sort of work itself out? What do you find in working with these ladies who want to have a baby and it's such a meaningful thing to them and they're struggling?
Yeah, I see women on all parts of the spectrum. I see people from, you know what, I want to start thinking about getting pregnant and having a baby in the next year or two, and I just want to prep my body and be as healthy as possible so that I can have a healthy pregnancy and a healthy baby. And then I see people who, on the other side of the spectrum, they've tried like 6 IVF cycles. They've maybe even gone like overseas and tried different sort of experimental things, and they're desperate and they're getting older and they're running out of time, and or maybe they have ovarian failure or that type of thing. So there's a wide spectrum of emotions that can happen through that. And some people have gotten to the point where they're really desperate, and then some people have gotten to the point where they're almost ready to give up, and they're kind of like, well, if I don't have a baby, or at least they try to convince themselves that. So for sure, there's a lot of emotion and frustration and depression, sadness.
I feel
Yeah.
like you would probably have to do a little bit of counseling and coaching in that area with all of these people as you help them.
Yeah, I can't say that I'm not, I'm not a counselor and I'm not trained in counseling. Um, there's definitely a lot of just being present for them and kind of holding space for people and understanding. I mean, I've been doing this for 23 years, so there's a understanding of where people are coming from and how they're feeling, and it's definitely not unique. I mean, when people have been trying for years and years and it's all they can really think about and all they want, and it's not something you can force, it's definitely wrought with emotion for sure.
It's hard. Do you have any support group that you put together for some of these folks so that they can meet with other people struggling with the same things, or is it more just one-on-one with people?
I don't have a support group that I've put together. There are definitely support groups out there. There are counselors that I refer people to, and there's my program has a group training component, so that it's not necessarily counseling, but sometimes it can be really helpful to know that you're not alone. There's a lot of other people that have this going on.
Just to be in a community of people that have the same situation would be helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, in all the years you've been doing this, obviously you've helped some people have babies, probably lots
Yeah.
of people.
Lots of
Tell us
people.
about a story that's kind of interesting where somebody came in, they were struggling, and you helped. And what was that experience like for them? And I can't imagine the joy that they might have experienced once they did have a baby.
Yeah. One of my a recent patient, her and her husband, I saw them for maybe 6 months or so, and they had tried a few IVF cycles, and they kind of were getting pretty down, and it wasn't working out for them, and they had an upcoming IVF cycle that we were prepping them for. And about a month before that, because sometimes what happens is people are planning, they're planning their cycles and figuring out when they want to go through the IVF. And some of the IVF clinics have long waiting lists as well. So I get to see people while they're waiting to get in. So sometimes they're waiting for like 3 to 6 months to get in. And what's awesome is when they get pregnant before they even get into do their IVF. And that's what happened with this particular couple. And it was just amazing because she got pregnant and she came in, because I'm not really expecting them to say they're pregnant when I know we're just prepping for the upcoming IVF. And so she comes in and she goes, I'm pregnant. And I was just like, you just get goosebumps. It's just so awesome. And they're so happy, but then they're also scared because once you have this thing you want, you're worried you're going to lose it. And so I've worked with her right through her pregnancy, and she has her baby girl now. It's just amazing. It's just, I love it. And they always bring in their babies so I can meet them. And yeah. But then the only sad part is sometimes they'll keep coming in for a little bit after, but then they just get way too busy to keep up with that. But
Right.
I often see people later on when the baby gets a bit older and they can come in. But
Well, it's
I've had
great work.
quite,
It's
yeah.
great work
Yeah.
that you're doing
Yeah.
and definitely needed. And I'm sure that every lady that's been with you has been thankful that you were there.
Yeah, we've got lots of we call them Boda Babies. My business is called Boda Health, which is also a combination of my name.
Oh,
my last name with my first name. So
okay.
we call them Boda babies.
All right, I like it. Boda Babies from Jeda.
Yeah.
Great, great. All right. Well, let's say I'm not me personally, but I'm a lady out there, a woman who has a problem, wants to wants to get pregnant and is struggling. What would you say to them? How would they get in touch with you? How would you ask them to reach out and chat?
The easiest way is to go on my website. It's bodahealth.ca. So it's BODA health.ca. It's I do have this online program, but probably the easiest way is go on there, click on contact and either give us a call or fill out the contact form. That's
Awesome. Awesome.
the
And then they'll hear from you pretty quick after that.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
good.
Mhm.
What else
Yeah.
do you want to share with us today? This has been a great
Uh
conversation, and
yeah.
it's such a it's such an important topic. And
Yeah.
it's like we could talk about it forever,
Oh, for sure.
but
Yeah.
what else might you want to say to anyone who's listening?
So, I mean, some people think that, if going to somebody like an acupuncturist or a naturopath or someone that does natural care, so a lot of things people will ask me is, well, what is that going to do? Like, what's the purpose of that? Why would I do that instead of just going to my for the fertility clinic? But if you're looking, essentially in Chinese medicine, what we're doing is we're looking at your body like it's a system. So we're not just looking at your ovaries and your uterus, we're looking at your body like it's a complete system, just like we would look at, say, a forest. It's not just trees. There's a lot going on in a forest, and that's the same with our body. So we're looking at the whole functioning and optimizing health from, well, what I do is optimize health from an Eastern perspective. So we're like, how's your digestion? How's your sleep? How's your energy? Even down to the point of how is your body regulating body temperature? Some people sweat too much. Some people don't sweat at all. Some people don't have that mechanism of being able to sweat. And we think about toxin release and how our body brings in energy and digests food and absorbs water, releases water. All of those things are really important when it comes to our health, and how all those little things function will affect other parts of our body. So if you imagine that our ovaries need enough blood flow, or our uterus needs enough blood flow, but there's also a real regulatory component of, you probably heard the terms yin and yang, and and sometimes people think, oh, that's so woo-woo, all these energies. But really, the easiest way to think of it is hot is an energy and cold is an energy. Wet is an energy and dry is an energy. And when we think about our body bringing in energy, or how it is able to bring in energy, we think, well, we eat and we breathe and we drink fluids. And what does our body do with that? And then how does our body detox afterwards? And that's kind of the whole basis of it. And how will all of that affect other processes? And reproductive health is a secondary need in any being. So if you're running like heck from a saber-toothed tiger, your body's not thinking, oh, how am I going to mature those eggs to make babies? So it's just about like really addressing all of those things, mental health, physical health, all of that. So,
And I suppose that's probably why, even if someone's not local to you, you can help them do all of those things. Even if they were going to their standard doctor type clinic, they could
mhm.
add that whole layer of things that you're working with,
Yeah.
which wouldn't harm in any way what they're doing, but would actually amplify and help it.
Yeah, exactly. Because I'll be seeing people who just want to go through, like I said, some people are just prepping to be healthy and everything's fine with their reproductive health, and someone else who's had so many problems that they're definitely going to be using that system where, the reproductive endocrinologist, but then enhancing their health just helps it that much more. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this is
Yeah.
a fascinating subject. And
Yeah.
I love the work that you're doing. And I think
Yeah.
it's so, so important. And
Hmm.
I say that I have 5 kids, so I
Yeah.
know the joy of having children. And I will say that my wife was very much a natural person. And
Mhm.
so we had all of our kids here at home birth.
Oh, wow. Great.
And what's funny about that is when we got married, I didn't even know there was such a thing as having a home birth.
Oh,
And
really?
then she told me, "Oh yeah, I'm having these kids at home." And I'm like, "I don't even know what that means."
You're
So
like, am I going to be delivering babies?
I was a little worried because I don't know how to do that. But having that experience and watching all of that, you can
Hmm.
only come away with just thinking, man, it's just a miracle. And to
Yeah.
watch it happen and to see women who haven't had that joy and want that, and they're working so hard at it, just to know that they have places to go to get help, such as you, I just
Hmm.
think that's a great thing. And so I love the work you do.
Mm, thank you.
It's awesome. All right.
Yeah.
Well, final thoughts. Final thoughts that you might want to leave with folks.
Final thoughts. I I just want, I mean, if people are out there looking to, you've been trying or you're not even trying yet, I mean, it's definitely worth reaching out to if there's somebody in your community that does more natural care and just looking at like your lifestyle and those types of things. It's not going to hurt anything, that's for sure. Yeah.
And I love that last part too of even if you haven't had kids yet, but you're going to and you're aiming for that and you want to get
Yeah.
ready for that, it's a
Yeah.
great thing to do is get yourself ready before.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really powerful. Awesome. Jeda, thank you so much for joining me today on my Leveraging Your Voice podcast. I have to ask you, did he get a chance to leverage your voice today?
I don't know. You're the expert. You tell me.
You absolutely did, sharing your story and inviting people into your
Yeah.
world. And
Yeah.
that's a great thing to do.
And thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, well, it's been a pleasure having you. Folks, thanks for joining us. Again, I am Coach Paul with PR Vocal Coaching, and I help professionals speak with confidence in less than 8 weeks. Or another way I say that is to help you learn to use your voice and make it your greatest asset. Because human centered communication, with all the technology, all the AI, and everything else in the world, if you're a human being who can connect with other human beings, and certainly the number one way we do that is through our voice, but you're going to have such an advantage and you're going to love it so much. And it just has a snowball effect because it makes you happy in every
Mhm.
way. So if you're interested in that, you can always come visit me at prvocalcoaching.com. And for Jeda, we're going to put her information. What was it? Jeda? No, Boda
Yeah.
Health.ca. Yep. So we're going to put that in the text connected with this video as well. So you'll be able to reach out to her. Like always, I appreciate you joining and watching. And just a reminder, it's free to hit the little like button. So if you're watching this and you want to help Jed and myself, just click the little like button. It's free and appreciate that. And leave a comment if you'd like. And thank you as always. And until next time, bye for now.